What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Switch Podcast. I am your host, Q1 Humphreys. Something finally happened. The Hawks finally did something, and yesterday I had no words. Yesterday I had no words when the trade went down. I had no words at all. But, roughly 12 hours later, I'm in a better space, I got to take notes. I got to look at what the Hawks did and what they may do in the coming weeks before the season starts up. And I feel a lot better about it, because when the initial news dropped, I think me and all of Atlanta was ready to riot at the State Farm Arena. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, yesterday the Atlanta Hawks traded away Dejounte Murray to the New Orleans Pelicans for, check this out, for Larry Nance Jr., Dyson Daniels, a 2025 first-round pick, which actually belongs to the Lakers, and a 2027 first-round pick, which actually belongs to the Milwaukee Bucks. So, before I dive into the Hawks, because I want to spend a lot of time on them, I want to talk about the Pelicans and what they did in this trade. Now, the New Orleans Pelicans, coming off a season where they got swept in the first round by OKC, Zion Williamson got hurt in the play-in game against the Lakers, missed the entire series against OKC. Brandon Ingram got hurt late in the season. That really sent them to the play-in, because the team kind of the wheels fell off once Brandon Ingram got hurt, and he ends up coming back right before the play-in, and really you can really tell he really was not himself in that playoff series. They could have stole game one, but they ended up getting swept. And if you watch the Pelicans, you know, okay, they need a point guard. You know what I'm saying? They ran CJ McCollum at point guard majority of the season last year. Brandon Ingram was mainly their primary playmaker. You know what I'm saying? As a point forward, there was even times when we saw Zion bringing the ball down the floor a couple times. But when you watch the way they play, and it was really the playing game for me. The playing game that did it was when Jose Alvarado subbed in the game and was picking up the pace, and they was getting easy dunks, easy layups, because I think Charles Barkley said it or something. Charles Barkley might not be the best person to reference when it comes to watching games. But the Pelicans play very slow, and you have a guy like Zion Williamson who's one of the best finishers in the NBA, who can score in the half court at the basket. But the best way to get him involved, the best way to make things easier for him, is to space that floor out and to run. So now they get a point guard in Dejounte Murray that's going to do that. Not to mention, they got to keep Brandon Ingram. Now, Brandon Ingram, I believe after the end of last season, David Griffin came out and said, we've preached continuity for the past couple seasons, but I think we've seen enough, and there's got to be some sort of change. So everybody looked at Brandon like, hey, Brandon, you finna be out of here, G. And me as a Hawks fan, I said, hey, Brandon, you finna be over here, G. And I was excited. But to keep Brandon Ingram and just really add Dejounte Murray to this team, I feel like was a huge win for what the Pelicans are trying to do. The Pelicans, of course, their main thing, they need to be healthy. They got to be healthy. That's been their problem. That's been their problem for the past 6 years. Zion Williamson, you take him number one. He plays like a number one draft pick up until he cannot play. You know what I'm saying? There was a couple years ago they were first in the West. He hurts his hamstring, missed the rest of the season. They missed the playoffs. This year, they were 5th, 6th in the West. Brandon Ingram gets hurt. Then Zion gets hurt in the play-in. Then they get swept in the playoffs. So health is a major priority no matter what trade they made. DeJounte's a good pickup. But if their guys are not on the floor, it's not going to do much. But let's talk about really what the Pelicans gain. They get a point guard, like I said, and they get not just any point guard. They get a two-way point guard, a guy that adds to that defensive pressure and defensive presence that the Pelicans already have in a Herb Jones, in a Brandon Ingram. He's improved defensively this past season. Zion Williamson, I mean, he's not the best defender, but he's athletic and go and block some shots on the hell side. Now, they do need to find a center. And my note says that they are $2.5 million under the luxury tax. The luxury tax that they have not wanted to pay. So there may be more trades to come. There are definitely more moves to come because they need to get a center. I don't know the status on Jonas Valanciunas. I don't know whether he's a free agent or whether they're trying to trade him or whatever. But I think that's the last piece. They got to get some kind of big. I know they were in the running for Nick Claxton, but Nick Claxton just signed a 4-year, $100 million contract with the Brooklyn Nets, so that's off the table. They went and drafted the big boy out of Oregon. I don't. Is his name Messi? I think his name is Messi. I hope I'm not messing up his name, but big boy out of Oregon. They go and draft him. You know, he was all right at Oregon. You know what I'm saying? I caught a couple of his games during the tournament, but I guess for the time that the Pelicans are on now, especially adding a all star perennial all star guard and Dejounte Murray, you don't want projects. You want someone you know can come in and produce right now. So decided to see what else they do. Now we get to the Hawks. Now we get to my Atlanta Hawks. Before we even get to this trade, let's talk about the draft. Number one draft pick. They won the lottery this year, and everybody, including me, thought, okay, Alex Sarr. We're gonna go Alex Sarr, 7'1", versatile defender, can improve on the offensive end. Weeks go by, and Alex Sarr says he doesn't want to be here. Well, he may not. He doesn't. Well, he didn't say it. He didn't say it. He said he didn't say it, but you acted like it. You didn't come and work out. Your agents have pretty much made known that you want to be here. So we don't draft Alex Sarr. We stay in France though. We draft Zachary Risacher, 6'10" guy. He's 19 years old, really really young. He's scouted as a elite 3-and-D guy. They say he's a guy that in the French league defended 1 through 4, and to have a guy that young defend 1 through 4 was really big towards his development, and they said it really has not been seen. That's not often that happens. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna look at the bright side of things. If this guy is a dynamic defender, you know, a versatile defender, and he can hit that 3 ball, because they said he shot roughly 38% from 3 in the French league. He started out hot and then kind of cooled off over the course of the season. So if he can be that to us, you know, I understand this draft was not the strongest draft in the world. I feel like I don't know if there were any superstars in this draft, but I know for a fact there were some championship pieces in this draft, and I believe Zachary Risacher, if he lives up to what his potential can be, if he goes even beyond, because we don't know what Quinn Snyder can do. You know, Quinn Snyder, I don't recall him really being a great developer. You know what I'm saying? Besides Jalen Johnson this past season, but if he can do his job, develop Zachary right, he can be fine in this offense, especially with Trae Young. You go get a bunch of open shots, just knock them down, and then do your job on the defensive end. So now we move to the trade. All off season, ever since we lost in the play-in, really ever since midseason last year, there were rumors of Dejounte Murray getting traded. Now, those rumors from just Dejounte Murray getting traded shifted to Trae Young also being on the move when Trae got hurt back in February, and we saw Dejounte really thrive as that primary ball handler, as that really just that PG for us. He had a couple good games against the Celtics. He had a game winner, dropped 40 points against the Celtics, hit a game winner. You know what I'm saying? And people was like, okay, Dejounte might be the move, because Dejounte, of course, is a way better defender than Trae Young. So defensively, we played better. We didn't play too much better because the rest of our roster are not good defenders. And DeJounte's a great defender, but him having to do everything on offense and having to play defense is definitely time we had. I don't think we've seen that from anybody in a very long time, but them to be able to do that. So our defense picked up, but it did not pick up to the level where there was a huge difference to me. We were still in the bottom half of defensive rating with Trae Young and without Trae Young. So the rumors became, okay, Trae. Is Trae gone? I was always on the side. I love Trae Young. I wanted Trae Young. If I had to pick who I wanted to keep, I would want to keep Trae Young, because I look at the way the NBA is now. Them dynamic guards that can go out and average 30 and 10 are they're going further. They're going further than, you know, Dejounte Murray's good, but I don't believe Dejounte Murray is one of them elite 6'5", 6'6" point guards. I don't think he's elite. I think he's really good, but I don't think he's elite. So that takes me to this past, really after the draft. The Atlanta Hawks knew that they wanted to get some draft capital, because they traded 3 first-round picks to get Dejounte Murray. They traded the 2025, 2026, and 2027 first-round picks to get Dejounte Murray. And So I feel like a move had to be made. Whoever would have got the Hawks more had to go. And it's being reported that Trey didn't really have a market. There were not a list of teams lining up for Trey. There were a few teams, but Dejounte's market was way better than Trey's. So Dejounte in turn had to be traded, had to be dealt. And the Hawks get back 2 draft picks in the first round. Now this 2025 Lakers draft pick intrigues me because the Los Angeles Lakers, the West is deep. We don't know. We don't know who making the playoffs next year in the West. The Lakers could mess around and somehow, some way, end up out of that top 8, and then now we're back in the lottery. And this upcoming draft is going to be a very deep draft, so you can get a decent player at the 11th, 10th, and 12th. It don't got to be top 5 for it to be a really good player in this 2025 draft. So I feel good. I mean, like I said, it took me a little minute, but I feel good about the trade. We pick up Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels is a top 10 point of attack defender, and I think that's exactly what the Hawks need. You know, if you're gonna build around Trae Young now, you gotta put guys with him that fit his style. You know what I'm saying? If you go on the side, Trae Young's our centerpiece. You gotta put guys with him that's gonna help him. You gotta find a way to make his weakness, to hide his weakness, which is defense, as best as you can. Just like other teams do. We just saw the Dallas Mavericks make the finals with their backcourt being Luka and Kyrie Irving. Now Kyrie's improved defensively, but he's not a lockdown defender. Luka Doncic is a guy that he has to be hidden on defense, but they put guys around him that could minimize how much he's attacked. So, and I think exactly what the Hawks needed. They needed another point of attack defender because they really don't have any. And I think the only one they had was the Dejounte Murray, but we just talked about that. Dyson Daniels, he's a young guy, 21 years old. He'll develop. If he can develop a jump shot, that would be even better, but he's here for defense. Larry Nance Jr., he can give you a decent minute off the bench. He averaged 5 points last year for the Pelicans. So, I don't know. I think he was just a salary filler, Larry Nance. But nevertheless, he's on the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks have more moves to make though. The Hawks have way more moves to make. They still gotta do something with this Clint Capella contract. Clint Capella is on an expiring contract, so you gotta move him. DeAndre Hunter I think he's on his 3rd year of his contract. He signed a 4-year extension a couple years ago. He's either on the 3rd year or the 2nd year of that extension. I want to say he's on the 3rd year of that extension. So either he steps up or he has to be moved out as well because he's making a lot of money. Jalen Johnson is due for a extension this upcoming summer. This next summer. And I believe that is why we did not get Brandon Ingram. I think we did not get Brandon Ingram because Brandon's on an expiring contract and Jalen Johnson is on an expiring contract. So both of them would be looking for big money. They'd be looking for big money, and I feel like it would be tough for us to pay that because of our owners. I'm not going to drag our owners, but I'm going to be very transparent with how I feel about our owners. Our owners are the reason why we're in this shape that we are in right now. Our owners overrided our GM at the time, which was Travis Schlenk, to go get Dejounte Murray. Dejounte Murray is not a bad player, but trading 3 first-round picks for Dejounte Murray, I don't feel like that was a good decision. And you look at it in hindsight, we have 0 playoff series won with that, and we only have 1 playoff berth with Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. Now, granted, this season we dealt with a lot of injuries. I believe everybody missed time except for Dejounte Murray, but still, we traded away. We broke up. We took away pieces that fit with Trae and brought in a guy that we thought would fit with Trae, but he didn't fit with Trae. So now we're stuck and we have no draft picks. That's why I feel like the Hawks really were handcuffed. You know what I'm saying? Because they had to get picks. And if they could get Brandon Ingram, trust me, they would. But I don't know. I don't think the Pelicans negotiated. I think they said, you want Brandon? I don't know about all that. Y'all not going to get Brandon and draft picks. I don't know about that. So, yeah. Hawks, man, the wrestler family. Look, it's cool right now. We'll do a little soft rebuild with Trae. With Trae as the man, you made your decision. You know what I'm saying? But y'all gotta go in that luxury tax, man. Go in that luxury tax. We gotta improve, dog. We have to get better. So this year, okay. But in the future, if somebody else comes up, y'all need to go in that luxury tax. The age of us making conference finals with the Paul Millsaps, the Al Horfords, the Damari Carrolls, Kyle Korver, and Jeff Teague, that league is gone. The East, it ain't deep, but them top teams are some of the best teams in the NBA. So we gotta pay. You gotta, I can't talk. You gotta pay that cost to be a boss. You gotta pay that cost to be a boss. And if we want to be bosses in this league, we gotta pay that cost, man. But that's all I got for y'all today, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share with y'all folks, man. Send this to the Pelicans fans and the Hawks fans out there. Pelicans fans, congratulations. Y'all got, people believe that y'all fleeced us. Y'all might have. I don't know. Hawks fans, hang in there, man. We the light will shine on our city once again. We out of here. Yeah. Don't knock it over.